Hello, beautiful artisans. Welcome to Echo Art with Carmella-T. Happy Saturday. If you are new to the channel, we create with all recycled materials, fabrics, and supplies. And it's our way to give the earth a little hug. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for coming back. You know, I have my afternoon coffee. This is the best time of the day for me, is sharing my artwork with you. But before we get to that, I want to share with you what I got at the thrift shop this morning. And this is just really adorable. This is, it's called A New Day. That's who it's made by. And if you look at it, it's a purple sweater, but look at the beautiful little eyelets in there. And it's very lightweight, and it's purple for spring. Isn't that just lovely? And it fits just the way I like it to fit. It just kind of drapes. I love it. Nice and comfy. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. That was several dollars, so that's not much. And today, what we're going to do is, I have a number of projects actually to be sharing with you. But today we're doing the hodgepodge hat with multiple ways I want to share with you on how to be creative with this hat. So first of all, one of the ways you're going to see right off the bat is tying your ends. And I'm going to show this to you because, and first to kind of recap. When you do a hodgepodge hat and you're working with all different kinds of scrap fabrics, scrap yarns. We're going to get to scrap fabrics next. I'm going to update you on the next project we're working on, but which is the Japanese patchwork, or the Boro sashiko inspired apron. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that next, just in case you're coming along with me for the next video. But with this, as you work in the rounds, you do not need to worry about doing a full round. That's not necessary. All you need to do is pick up where you left off. Now with this particular hodgepodge hat, and what I've done, I've made hats like this. I'm going to have a sip of this coffee. When you're done with your round, whether you're going halfway or whatever, you just take your ends and tie them. And I'm going to show you, because it is an absolutely wonderful way to make what do you want to say, kind of adornment or creative look for your hat. And I'm going to actually use this yarn. This is the same weight. You don't have to, that's the other thing, you do not have to use a same weight yarn. Now, it's probably a good idea, let's say if you can get all acrylics, or at least mostly acrylic, or if you're doing cotton yarn, to use all cottons or wool, because that way when you give the washing instruction, which will most likely be in warm tepid water or cool water in a basin, and just get it nice and wet, put a very little mild soap in, and then rinse the soap out completely, and then air dry. The idea that most of these yarns, whether it's acrylic or your cotton, they can withstand that kind of wash without shrinking or shredding, splitting or stretching, because they typically, unless they're going to go through agitation, they get really agitated in a machine. And let's say you had used some cotton, or you used a blended yarn, let's say, or organic yarn with an acrylic. What could happen is, the one row might tighten, right? So in my opinion, you always want to give the washing instruction to have them hand wash it gently. And so with that, what I'm doing is attaching another yarn here. And this hat, what I'm doing is, to keep it super simple for the demo, is I am doing double crochet. And then I'm doing a stitch, and then in the next space, I'm doing a double crochet. Stitch and double crochet. Now, like in the other videos we've talked about, when you're rounding, if it's too loose, which that kind of is with the stitch, and I want it to round a little bit, so the next double crochet I'm going to do here is I'm not going to do a stitch. I'm just going to go in my next space, and I'm going to do double crochet. The next space, double crochet, and the next space, double crochet. And that's how I'm going to do it. Because look, now I'm getting some rounding, and I wasn't getting it over here because I was still doing a chain and then a double crochet in the space. So a chain, even if you're doing one chain between your stitches, that can make a huge difference between the crown of it staying flat and or rounding. So you take away your chain, and automatically you see your stitches start to pull, and you want them to pull in when you're doing your rounding. So we're going to do a few more of these because I want to show you in a minute what I'm doing with the tails. So I'm going in each space. I'm not doing any chains, and look how fast this moves. And I am using a size 11 hook, and this is a heavy weight, or what a lot of you know as a chunky yarn. That's what this is. So see, there you go. It's a nice rounding. Okay. And we're going to go all the way around. We're working this in real time. Now, I did work on the hat. I worked on the crown. Let me just stop and show you. I worked on the crown before I started the video today because I wanted to get at least that done. Now you see, you can automatically see very clearly that I tied the tails. You see them? And I'm going to show you in a minute. But I tied them, and so they're kind of like, now as you go along with those kind of sticking out like that, it becomes an aesthetic. It becomes clear. It's an aesthetic. And you can do that in a couple of ways. You can have the tails really long, so you're kind of tying little bows all around. I'm going to show you that in a moment. You can do the bows, or you can do like I did, is you tie them and then you trim them to be a little shorter, where they're just kind of like a little spike out. And when you get those all through the hat, it really looks, it adds to the hat. It's definitely, like I said, it will be very telling. It's an aesthetic. So, okay, with that, we are, this is very nice. So I'm going to go a little bit past. You can see where we started the round right here. So I'm going to go a little bit past that. I don't want to do a full equal round. I do not want to do that. I want to have the rounds be unequal and stop like halfway. So, because that again is another part of the aesthetic. That's kind of the artistic vibe I want to have going on here. Now, if it pulls in too much when I'm done rounding it here, okay, so I'm at the end of the round and I want to go past it a little bit. But let's say it pulls, oh look, oh I thought I was at the end of the yarn. But let's say it pulls too far in. And so I want to give you some ideas, because a lot of you, not you, but in general, people, right, when you're learning to crochet, a lot of times if the hat pulls too far in, or you end it and the brim of it is too tight. What a lot of people will do, which the natural thing to do, is to pull it out. You don't have to pull it out. If you leave it in and you add a few more rows, adding chains and making it, you know, a little bit looser, to get it a little bit looser, all you would do is add to it. For example, if it pulled in because you were doing every stitch like I'm doing, you're just doing your double crochet, you're going in the next space, double crochet, and you're not doing any chains, what you would do for your next row is just leave it like that, and then when you continue in your next row, add a chain. So, and then measure. Because what this will do is give it, see how it's coming in like that? So give it a nice little effect, curve effect coming in. It gives it a little style. Because unless you want a perfectly round beanie. And if you do want a perfectly round beanie, then yeah, you'd want to pull it out and then round it. But I mean, that's like part of the creative process, is you get just these beautiful effects, sometimes from a mistake, or what you think is a mistake. So I'm going to go that far with this. And I'm just going to clip this because I want to hold this hat up for you. Okay. Okay, so you see the tails. Now, I just want to give you another idea. I'm going to tell you what. I love the tails. I love them. So this is what we're going to do with these. Get my crochet hook. Here. I'm going to pull these in to the front. Okay? And I want to leave these, for these, I want to leave these a little long. I'm tying a knot. I'm going to tie a couple knots because I want them to not go anywhere. And then I'm just going to let them hang like that. I want that. That's how I want it. These are shorter up here. Now, if I decided I wanted, I'm like, oh great, I already tied those, but I'd kind of like a longer one here, which I kind of would. I can take this piece of yarn, look, and I can just simply tie it. Does it have to be a tail? No. But look at the aesthetic. You can just kind of have that there. So now I'm going to take what I want to do, because I'm doing this for demo, I'm doing this to share. Let's measure this, okay? So we're going to measure. Now we fold it in half to do a measure. And we want to see what's going on here. Okay, so look. That is about 12. So that's very large. Let's make sure we're measuring it right. Kind of going off to the side. No, it's closer to 11. However, it's still almost 12. And it looks like 12 on the camera, but it's really going right here, which is like 11 and a half. So, so we can afford to pull this in a little bit. So what we're gonna do, and let's look at our height. So our height is, look, we're about, if we stretch it even, we're easily down to 7. However, this is not nearly done. You cannot wear this. If this was be put on my head, it would be big. Let me show you here. Look. That's not even close. So what we want to do is, we have about 6.5 in height. So we need another 1.5 inches, or, you know, typically another 4, maybe 3 or 4 rows, depending. Now I'm picking a smaller weight yarn just for the heck of it. And what I'm going to do is, I want a smaller hook. And the reason I want a smaller hook is I want to bring this in. Look, I want to bring this in because this diameter as it is about 23, And so that's large. Unless you want it to be an extra large, it would be 23 and then stretch to like 24. So I want to bring this down to like a medium, like a 22. So around there. So let's see what we can do. So I'm going to use a smaller hook and this right here. This is like a J. So that will work nicely. And this I'm just going to leave a little long for a moment, and I'm going to do another double crochet with it. And I am now working right in the space there, which is the back loop. And I'm going to start doing half double crochets. And I'm going to start with switch over to my lighter weight yarn. And I need to do a chain just to secure that. And then I'm going to not do any more chains from here. And this will work nicely to pull it in. If it pulls it in too much, I'll know pretty quick here. So, but it probably will just, if I do one round of this, it will pull it in. Oh, it will pull it in well. Like, it will be close to 22. We'll measure it again. And that way you can see what I'm talking about. So we're just going to go around with, I'm sorry, single crochet. I said half double. Whoop. You can use any stitch you want. The idea of the creative crochet is to have some general guidelines for yourself. So with a hat, it's like 20 is your small, 22-inch head diameter is your medium, and 23, 24 is large, extra large. So, but look, and that looks lovely also. And we're going to come back around and take a look at the tails. We're going to take a look at the aesthetic. We're going to decide, do we like that aesthetic? Do we not like it? Personally, the reason I like tying, just tying the ties like that, is because it gives it almost a raw look. It gives it like a how shall I say, a little rustic antiquity country kind of a look vibe. In other words, it's not polished, it's not manufactured, it's not to perfection, and to me that reflects life, right? Life just doesn't go perfectly as much as we would like it to, for sure. Okay, so that pulled it in. Let's measure this now. Let's see what we've got there. I'm going to pull that out for a minute because I definitely want to do another row, but let's see. So I'm going to measure from here to here because that is where the stitches are ending now. And look, you can see right here, you see that? We've got it to 10. We've got it to a 10. If we stretch it a little bit, come down here. If we stretch this, you see, it easily stretches to the 22. But this is what you're looking at, is right here. The yarn we just worked with, the opening right there, that's the diameter. Okay, and that's perfect. That's very close to 22. So it's like a 21 stretching to like a 22. So that's lovely. We're right on track. We don't really have any height to it with that very lightweight yarn. Let's see what our height is. It's probably going to be about the same. Yeah. So you see the height is still about just a little over 6. So we're going to stay with our J hook and our lightweight yarn. And now what I'm going to do, because I want to give it a little height, and I just really do, I just love my double crochet. I feel like it just really moves along. So we're just going to, now when you put down, if you're a beginner and you put down your yarn, right, you put down your hat and your hook and you put it down. When you pick it up, this is something when years and years and years ago I used to do. Sometimes I'd pick it up and go the wrong direction. So you want to make sure you are going in the right direction, okay? And the way you can tell is your loop will be on your right and your tail is going to be going that direction you're going. So anyway, that's just a little tip. But what I'm going to do right now is a double crochet, and I'm just going in each space. I'm not doing any chains because I don't want to enlarge the diameter. I don't want to increase it anymore. If it increases a tiny bit, that's okay. But I don't want to increase the diameter to like a 23 or 24 again. Now, if I was making a larger hat, I certainly could do that, and that would be totally fine. But this hat, I kind of go for the medium because that way, if someone asks for a large, you can take a medium and seriously you can add a number of rows and you can turn it into a large. You just want to make sure that they're able to get it over like this part. So you want about at least a good 2 to 3 inches in height if you're making it from a medium to a large. 2 to 3, because you got to consider they need to be able to get that smaller piece here. So even though this is 8 from the crown down, about 2 to 3 works. It should work pretty good. And you can always test it out on yourself to really get a good idea on how much you should be adding. So, but the 2 to 3 works because it stretches. You get a stretch. So the 2 is like really 3. The 3 is like will stretch to 4, and that's more than half of the critical 6 inches in the crown that you need. Excuse me, to make sure you can get it on the head. Okay, so with that, and the height is typically 8. The height is typically 8. Okay, so that's a lovely, and I'm going to show you how I tie those in a moment. And then I'm going to show you on this part, because this is a demo hat, I want to show you Carmella's cables, how I do the cables. So we're going to do that in this video. And then I'm going to show you another beautiful little aesthetic that you can add to your beanie hat. And then we'll talk about the next project. But this is, I'm loving this. This is coming out really lovely. Now, some people will say the tails are totally not traditional, they're not acceptable, they're like, don't tie them like that. But you know what? You've seen, it kind of goes along the concept of, you know how some people make a rug out of t-shirts and they just tie all knots onto a piece of canvas, and they've got the rug out of t-shirt material. It's kind of the same concept. Is you're tying your and you know, it's like I said, like a decor. Okay, so now we've done that, and what I want to do is, see how easy, this is something I don't want to do right now. You see how easy I ended on the round? You see that? I ended right on the round. I don't want to end on the round. I want this to be really creative. So I'm going to go past the round and into past it a little bit, because basically I don't want my rows even, because I don't want it to look perfect. I want it to reflect the rawness of life. So, okay. Now, let's see here. Okay, so here's a tail. And this one, now sometimes as you go along, the tails do just naturally get woven in. And if they do, that's okay. You can leave them like that. That's totally fine. So this one, I'm going to pull. I want this tail out, because if you are not ending the rounds from the beginning to the end, those tails aren't going to be in the same place. So you can leave the tail long and you can weave it maybe to meet to be where the other tail is. You can do that, or you can simply kind of just tie a little knot right there and just leave it with one. You do not have to, and make it the length you want, and you can just leave it like that. So you see the aesthetic starting to come along here, and I like it. So, okay, with that, now this row, so now we ended the row, so let's just do another measure, because as you're beginning, you really do want to measure your rows, like row by row, because until you get the idea that you can do 3 or 4 rows and you know you're okay. But you can see here we're going to end it right here. Look, see, we got it. Oh, that's a lovely, we've got it to a 9, and if we stretch that, look, that's easily to 10. So this is a 20. This is a 20, and that's a good size. And if I want to bring it out a tiny bit more, and I do want it to be that 22, what I can do in my next row is I can use my my size hook 11 again, and let's add a little bit more here, and I'll just show you this, and then I'm going to show you the Carmella's cable. And I don't know if it's Carmella's, but it's just a cute little way to create another aesthetic for your crochet, creative crochet. So I'm just going to, now see these tails? These tails are together. So when I pull those through, and we'll do that after we do another row and a half here, but I will tie those. So now this is a heavier weight yarn that I'm using. This is green, and this is a larger hook. So I just want to show you, without us doing any chains, I don't believe we need to do any chains for this. We're just going to go space by space and do our double crochet, and then we're going to measure, because right now we've got it at like 20. Now when you pull it in like that, let me just take a sip of this coffee. When you pull it in like that, and you bring it to a diameter of 20, like I said, it kind of makes nice little ridges. If you go in and then you're pulling it out and then you're pulling it in, you can do that. If you want to keep it nice and even, like the beanies that I make, typically a traditional beanie, then you want to not be switching the hook. You want to keep it kind of even as you're going, and just measure row by row. So with that, okay, so we're just going to, you know what, this hook is large, the yarn is rather thick. And look at this. This is giving it, I bet you this is a very close to 8-inch height, because this is giving it a nice length because of the size hook and the increase in the weight of the yarn. And this is going to be really nice. Look, you see how much, you see the length right there? Okay. So now pretty soon, I got to tell you, we got to get some Boro inspired hats going. We have to get our Boro inspired hats going, and we've got our next project is Boro and yo-yo. It's Boro, and I'm not making that rhyme. It's Boro inspired and yo-yo inspired. Let's say yo-yo inspired, because that's from centuries ago. But wait till you'll see. I'm making it as a special project for something, and but I'll bring you along with me in case any of you want to try any of those techniques. Okay, look how lovely that is. Okay. Now, and then what I typically do is, after I add aesthetics to it, or I see how they look, if I decide to amend it, I can. So if I decide I want the tails shorter, or I even want them knotty, I want to add knots, that's a really awesome aesthetic. Like, just especially, and you can use, I've added knots with tails on twine onto the hats. Not on the inside, because the twine is something that will not, is not soft, but I've added it to the outside. And we're talking years and years ago, and those hats were pretty awesome. I really, really liked those hats when I did that. Okay. So, but, you know, ribbon, I mean, there's different fibers. It doesn't have to be a yarn. Whoops. Look, I just crocheted the tail in. So anyway, this one I kind of want to end it right there, because we went, no, actually, you know what? We need just a few more stitches, because look, the round ended right here. I want to go a little bit more past the round. And I gotta watch that tail, because I do not want it woven. I want to keep it out, because I want to tie it on the outside of this hat. Now, if you are an artist and you're making hats and you're putting them out there, and you're doing something kind of crazy like this, you want to, it's almost like you want to make sure your art store is a creative art store, is art, because there's art, little artistic things that might be more on the traditional. So this is definitely falls in the non-traditional creative category. So let's see. With that, okay, now we're going to fold this in half. And we're going to measure the height. You can already tell the height is pretty good there. It's pretty close to anywhere between 7 to 8 inches is good, depending how oh yeah, I mean, look at that, that's 8. It's perfect. And let's take a look at our diameter, and then we're going to take a closer look at the other decor ideas I have for you in creativity. Okay, so look, that's a 20. That's perfect. That's perfect. And it will stretch to like a 22. So Oh yeah, that's really good. I don't want to mess up my scarf, but see, that's good. Like my scarf is already a mess. Anyway, no worries there. Okay, so let's bring this. Let's just get this so we can tie this off. And so I've got both of these. Both of these are kind of close together. So what I'm going to do is just pull. I'm going to pull this through with my crochet hook, just a little closer to this one so I can tie them together. So I'm just going to pull it through on the inside. Okay. And then I'm going to pull it through to the front part of the hat. And then I want to pull my green over near it. So look, so see, they're closer now, and I can tie them. Now you can tie them like this too. You don't have to tie them in a little knot. You can tie them like this. So they're kind of a little slip knot like that. You can do that, and then you can tie knots, look, on it all the way up and around as much as you want. You see, that's an aesthetic, that's a design. Okay, and just kind of have it. I love that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that with this one over here. Let's see, it's not going to, this is kind of short, but I just kind of want to loop it, and it might be too short, but let's try. I mean, look, that's just like really cute. I really, really like that. And I kind of like it even sticking up like that. And then you got the smaller ones, and this one, and this one. So this is another one over here. Let me see if I can get a nice little loop in this one and give it a little more character. Yeah, I like that. Okay, look, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna trim that tiny bit. Okay, that's fine. Aesthetic. Okay, now this is a demo hat, so I'm just going to start anywhere on this, but I want to show you. Let's find a lighter yarn here so you can actually see. Here, I'll try this. Okay. If you know how to make a chain, you're going to know how to do this. It's going to take maybe a little bit of a try for you, a couple of times, but you'll get it. So slip your crochet hook in the top, anywhere, just pick anywhere, and maybe use a demo hat or make a little patch and use it, but get some practice before you go use your hat or vest or whatever you're making. So just slip it through a couple of stitches, pull a stitch through, and make a chain. And then you're going to go through the next stitch. Just you can pick a stitch whatever you want, but for now let's just kind of do like a slip stitch. Just pull it through, and okay, and you can wrap your yarn around. I want to get down in the green here so you can see it a little better. Okay, wrap your yarn around if you want, or you can, we'll stick with the just slipping it through, wrap the yarn around, and then go through. Slip the hook through any top part of a stitch, wrap the yarn around, and pull it through. And I'm going to show you this in a moment. Pull the hook through any stitch and pull it straight through. Okay, now I'm gonna get the hook out of the way, and you see here, let me do this. You see here, this is, let me pull this through. This is basically a chain, but it's on top of your hat. So if you take this idea and you just turn around and you go the other way, let's say you're crisscrossing, you're creating, I don't have a lot of room here, but you're creating a, like a cable effect. This is how I do it. I just work on top. And maybe this is how they do it, I'm not sure. I think there's a way to do cable as you're crocheting in the piece. So this is kind of how I do it, only because I like the aesthetic of it, and I like the idea that I can go, and so I'm going to do a bunch of these because I want to show you the effect of it as we go along. And the more you wrap, let's say you wrap the yarn around and you kind of do it a few times, it gives it more of a texture. It gives it more of a thicker stitch, basically. That's what you're doing. So, and you can switch these stitches as you go. So I'm going to go up now. I want to go up. And what I used to do is I made hats, and there may be people watching this who had my hats in their stores for a little while. It's not like I was selling hundreds of hats, but I had the hats in the stores, and these hats had these little cables going all through the hat. So you just want to make sure you're slipping it underneath the stitch or stitches or the direction that you want, because you can make pictures with these. You can just kind of free associate, which is pretty much what I did, but the pictures are really nice, you know, make like a flower, heart, and the more practice you do, the more you get. So let me take this off. Okay, and you can see the cable and the stitches on the hat. So that's another thing you can do, and you can practice with it. You can use different size yarns. You can use different size hooks. It looks like I made an L. I didn't even know that's what I was making. But so you can do that with your hat. Now another thing you can do with your hats is, I just want to give you a couple of other ideas. You can take a piece of fabric. I'm going to use this for the heck of it. This is a bird. This is, as you can see, free form stitched, but you can do Boro sashiko like this. You can take a piece of fabric like this, and you can sew it right onto your hat. You can sew it onto your crocheted hat. It can be a heart, it can be a circle, a square like this, it could be a bird, whatever you want. But that is a lovely, lovely way. Now, what I wanted to show you is that what you can do is take a piece of fabric, and I'm going to just take a very small piece, and you can sew it, instead of sewing a piece, separate from your hat, like an applique, you can take a piece, just a piece of fabric, and you can sew it right onto your hat. This is an adorable effect. I mean, it's like, I love it. Okay, you're going to see more of these because I've done these. And so what you're going to do is start somewhere in the middle. So what's happening is, as you're sewing your piece on, you're staying in the top part of your yarn. Yarn is thick enough. You do not need to go all the way. Don't go all the way in there. You see, this is at the top part of the yarn. Stay in your top part of the yarn. Just do a typical Boro sashiko. That's all you need to do. And just get it attached, or sewn, I should say. And I just picked anywhere because this is just a demo, but it's because it's just so adorable. And I just want to give you a couple of ideas before with this too, because there's something else you can do here. Okay, so I'm staying in the top part of my stitches. If my stitches are spaced, that's okay. You can pull the yarn will pull together as you're doing your Boro sashiko. And so you just kind of keep going around like that, staying in your top stitches. Now, seriously, look how adorable that. It's not even on completely yet, but you can see how cute that is. And you didn't go through, we didn't go through, because the yarns are thick enough. Even if it's a lightweight yarn, you can find some threads at the top of that to work in. Now, so with that said, if you do a little patch from whatever, if you're using a Boro sashiko patch to put on, or you use a regular piece of fabric to put on, what you can do with that patch is also maybe put a little tie on there. You can also take your cable and do a cable around it, maybe if it's a heart or a moon or sun or whatever you're doing. But there's a lot that you can do with all these different aesthetics. So with that, I wanted to share these with you today and just give you some ideas. And, you know, take your time, enjoy yourself. We did these kind of off the cuff, but they're just so much fun. So with that, if you have any questions on this, let me know. The reason I'm showing you this is I will be making some hats now that you have this video showing you the different methods that I used. What we will do is another video, and I'll have the hat done, but you'll understand, and have this video, you'll know how I did it. So with that, the next project is going to be, we're going to be working on our Boro sashiko utility apron. And so what you'll need, so I'm going to share the detail with you because I'm going to be designing some other parts to it, and we're going to make some really different things, and I'll explain to you more in the next video. But if you're coming along with me, what you want is a piece of fabric like this, maybe 40 by 40 or whatever your measure is, and then you need 2 pieces of strap. Kind of use maybe belts or ties is a good idea. Someone had given me ties to bring to the guild. I brought them up to the guild, and as I was bringing them, I'm like, oh wow, those would make great straps. So that's another idea for straps, or the bottom of a sheet that's already hemmed. So so you just need those couple of things, and then of course your needle and thread so you can do your sashiko stitching, and then some scrap fabrics like this so you can do design your utility apron, or all of it or part of it, or however, because I'll be focusing on like some parts of it, but anyway, I'll share all with you. So with that, I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for being with me, and we'll see you in the next one.